we have established between you and I that there is an edge in humanity. So go travel. Be outside your comfort zone. Learn to question the world around you. Learn to learn from others. Be open to ideas. Be open to different ways things can be done. That is a huge unlock. Because people think they know. They think they know better. And you hear me say all the time, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Admit that you don't know and absorb as much as possible. Open your bandwidth. And that doesn't mean learning for the sake of learning. But certainly learn about humanity, how people work. Because in the end, everything we do is a human interaction. Even if we're creating products for people, we talked about the human side of product. So that is a huge life hack that people don't do. When I was at Goldman, we'd only be able to hire certain graduate trainees, and they all came from the same universities, Harvard, Yale, blah, 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 Chicago, Stanford. They all dressed the same. They all worked for investment banks in their summer jobs. They were all the same people. They were unemployable because they had no understanding of the world around them. They were over-specialized. And the world doesn't reward over-specialization. It rewards generalization because you have more opportunities available to you. And so I would go and find anybody I could find from that list who was different. People who were more sociable, that they would organize stuff, where people would get together. People who could integrate and understand other people around them. And they always did better. Sure, there's always the kind of nuclear scientist guy who, develops derivative models and stuff. Fine. They're never going to run the firm. Never. The person who understands humans runs the firm, always.
Macro expert and former Goldman Sachs executive Raoul Pal says that while negative sentiment across the crypto industry is at an all-time high, its fundamentals remain strong. In a new interview, Raoul Pal says investor negativity is higher than he has ever seen it, including during the Great Recession and the dot-com bubble burst. Raoul also shares his best advice for accumulating wealth and building a quality of life. Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, Real Vision CEO Raoul Pal shares his perspective on the concept of exponential age, the rise of crypto, and the future of finance. Raoul also speaks about the recession fears and the best strategy that you need to adopt in order to become stable in life.
I got a piece of advice that was killer. I just graduated university. I graduated in a recession. It was kind of very much like now. And it was like, I had to get a job. And a friend of my father said to me, he said, Raoul, what are you going to do now you've graduated? What industry are you going to work in? And I said, well, my father was in marketing. I'm like, I kind of like marketing. I'm interested in that. But I'm really interested in finance because the 80s had just happened. Finance was like the sexy thing. But the financial industry was in a massive recession in 1990 when I graduated. So he looked at me and goes, Raoul, it's pretty straightforward, your decision. I said, how's that? I said, I'm struggling with it. He goes, you can go and work for an amazing marketing company like Mars, and you can get free Mars bars. Or you can go work for a bank and get free money. It was so simple. Yeah. And what I then rode was a secular trend, which was the global financialization of the economy. So finance became the largest sector of all sectors in the S&P 500, for example. And I was in derivatives, which was probably the fastest growing area. So I'd chosen a lucrative area in a secular fast growing market. Bingo. So that is the advice.
Raoul Pal updates on the exponentially large role crypto is playing within his macro framework. Raoul argues that crypto is, quote, a black hole that is sucking in all of the world's talent and value at a speed that no one can comprehend, and that its capacity to generate phenomenal returns for investors is not temporary, but rather a part of a durable long-term trend that is at the vanguard of what he calls the exponential age.
Do not go into mean reverting industries. Go into exponential industries. Go where the tailwind is. That secular trend change, if it functions around commercial things where money is involved, the outcome will be wealth. Fast-growing industry that generates revenue, you being involved in that will generate wealth. It's as simple as that. It's not a complicated equation. So you just need to do that. Now, what does that mean with the rise of AI? And when you're competing against machines, I don't know the answers. But data is one thing. Community, Web3, crypto, blockchain technology, that's another. Being involved in the application layer of AI, robotics, Internet of Things, the space industry, these things are all exponential industries. And they're all going to generate obscene amounts of money. So do that. Whatever you do, don't go and work for a television company.
Right. Possibly even
they're going to
Netflix
die
down the road.
Even Netflix, because they're going to die unless they change.
Raoul contends that since central banks have suppressed the volatility of currencies and interest rates, large macro on heavy swings in these variables no longer offer the opportunity they once did, and that it is in the world of crypto where these outsized returns can be found.
I'm not a purposeful contrarian. Some people do that as a badge of honor. What I try and do is build an economic framework based around a lot of work that I do based around the business cycle, technical analysis, economic fundamental analysis, and then say to myself, okay, we know what the present state of the world is, but what is the probabilistic outcome of where it's going based on the facts that we know now? And that's what catches most people off. Most people don't join dots and look forwards. So the world of macro investing is a world where you live in the future and figure out what is the probability of the world going there. Sometimes there's a lot of probabilistic outcomes, and other times there's like two. It's pretty binary. So that is the key thing to learn, is to figure out what is the state of the world in 6 months or 12 months forward, not today. Or if you're looking at big secular trends, what is the trend in the next 10 years, not today's trend? For example, if you were to look at today's trends, you might say the Indian economy is sluggish and not that exciting, filled with bureaucracy. When you look at the secular trend, you say average age of 28, growing as one of the fastest growing economies in the world over time, low debt, and a massive Cambrian explosion in technology. So therefore, is that likely to be better in the future than it is today? And again, we'd ask ourselves questions with today. Is inflation going to be here forever, which is becoming the narrative? So what I tend to do is question market narratives. That's the contrarianism versus the work that I do. So I don't just question it for the sake of questioning it. I do it and say, well, for inflation to be here in a year's time, what would have to be true? We would have to see all prices continue to rise at 9% over the next year or two. Is that probable? Well, not if we have a recession. So therefore, what is the most likely outcome for inflation? Lower. Then the question is by how much? And that's when you start doing other work. So it's many people just look at the state of the world today and say, yeah, it's screwed. And they don't look forward to say, okay, what will it look like in 12 months' time?
So what are your thoughts about Raoul Pal's exponential age thesis? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.